Today we are talking Tantra, or if you're from the Midwest like me, Tantra. Tantra is an ancient sexual art that has been shrouded in secrecy and mystery literally for thousands of years. And I am going to be sharing with you today the expert tips that have been secretive that are going to make your sex life amazing. The truth is, even without devoting our life to a Tantra yoga practice, we can learn so much from Tantric sex, and we can incorporate some of its most important tools into our sexual life to help us get into more in tune with ourselves, into our partners, even last longer in bed. And today I am going to give you 5 expert tips that come specifically from Tantra practitioners, literally thousands of years, tried and true sex technology that is going to help you improve your sex life, whether you are rolling solo or with a partner. Tantra is a sexual practice that is rooted in an understanding of energy. That just means that having sex with a greater sense of connection to yourself, within yourself, to your soul, even to a higher power. One way of translating the word Tantra into English means the weft of a weave. In other words, the string that holds together all of the other strings, all of the other energies in your life, which means that Tantra is something that we are all already doing anyways. You know, the question that you have to ask yourself before you decide whether or not you want to continue this video is, do I want to feel more connected during sex? Do I want sex to feel more deeply, profoundly, spiritually powerful for both me and my partner? Do I want to feel an incredible ecstatic experience when it comes to sex, or do I want sex to remain sort of ho-hum physical experience? Like, do I want to reach a state of ecstasy with sex? And if you do, I invite you to stay around until the end of this video, because I'm going to lay some hot pro tips on you that are going to help you channel your best sexual self. All right, without further ado, here are 5 ways to incorporate tantric practices into your sex life. And no, you do not need to go buy any Nag Champa. Ready? Number 1, slow the fuck down. The key to Tantra is being in tune with yourself and with your partner, having awareness of your body and your mind in the sexual experience. One of the most important principles is that sex is not just about the destination, but it's also about the journey. You know, we have to slow down so that we can pay attention to what's going on. It's sort of like if you're driving down the freeway at 80 miles an hour, you're not able to catch the little details of the flowers along the road. There's nothing wrong with either one, but slowing down is what allows us to actually get in touch with what's really happening moment by moment. This first tantric tip to mind-blowing sex is to slow the F down. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to myself here, because I also have trouble slowing down. I am not a slow moving person. The experience of slowing down actually has so many benefits for our sexual life. Like, number 1, it will make sex last longer. And if you're someone who deals with premature ejaculation, I would ask you, where else are you racing through your life? Like, where else do you probably also need to slow down? It also gives us time to feel all of the sensations of a sexual experience. Really allows us to deepen our connection to the physical sensations that sex brings. And of course, it allows our partner to do the same. Not just that, but it allows her to feel sexually savored. And if you have any doubt on whether or not slowing down is going to make your sex life better, tantric expert tip number 2, which is your breath. Breath is the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious mind. And so much about sex, and tantric sex too, has to do with your breathing. I mean, think back to the last time you had sex, whether that was with another person or with yourself. Think about the natural shifts that you experience in your breathing. The pace and the intensity of your breath increases when you get aroused. It gets faster and faster as you reach orgasm, and there might even be times where you hold your breath and your tension as you're getting to that big moment. And then after you come, the deep sighs of relief that you Oh, it felt so good. And now I'm going to breathe myself all the way to sleep. Paying attention to how breath affects your sexual experience is one of the core elements of Tantra. And it's not just sex, like thinking about how breathing affects you in all areas of life, like why the advice is always to go take 10 deep breaths before you get into a fight with your partner. Breathing is a powerful tool. Also, if you struggle with not ejaculating too quickly, breathing is a phenomenal tool to help you cool down, slow down, and prevent yourself from coming before you and your partner is ready. If you are curious to learn some of the breathing techniques that tantrikas have been using for thousands of years, I recommend checking out my course, Come When You Want, that is all about lasting longer in bed, where I teach some of these very, very particular but super easy to learn breathing techniques that will help you to last as long as you want in bed and orgasm only when you are ready. Which brings me to my next tip. Number 3, mindfulness. Look, being present is something that we all struggle with, myself included. Like, we live in a world where we're surrounded by screens and a 24-hour news cycle and a million different thoughts, and we're so productive, and we've got bills and deadlines and relatives, and maybe you're like me and you're just super stressed about Kim and Kanye's divorce for some reason, and you're in a constant struggle to keep your houseplants alive. It's a lot. And with everything on our minds, it is surprisingly hard to just be. And if you think those distractions are not following you into the bedroom, my friend, guess again. Like, if you think your girlfriend doesn't notice when for just a split second your mind wanders to that stunning Tom Brady Super Bowl touchdown pass while you're still balls deep inside of her, think again. Staying present with us helps us to not think you're comparing us to Giselle. It also helps us to not think so much about Kim and Kanye. Being present for sex is crucial, and it is a key part to keeping any woman satisfied. I don't care how many tips and techniques that you know. You could be the tongue master, the fingersmith. You can do everything right, but if you are not present, it will suck. Guaranteed. If you're wondering why the tips and the techniques that you've been learning aren't working, this could be it. Now, here's the trick about being present. It involves being mindful, and you don't have to just practice this inside of the bedroom. In fact, the more present that you are in your life, the more mindful and conscious that you are of your actions outside of the bedroom, the bigger impact it will have on your performance in the sack. Amazing. So how do you practice? What do you do to be quote unquote mindful? It is not rocket science. Again, this is ancient technology, folks. So number 1, take a walk. Leave your cell phone at home and go on a calming stroll. Maybe put on some music, but leave your phone on airplane mode. Take some time out of your day to literally just walk the stress off of your body. Leave your to-do list behind and focus on this simple, repetitive task of one foot in front of the other. Here's another tip: meditate. All right, you already know that meditating has so many benefits, so I'm not going to recall those here, but one of the benefits you might not have thought of is how it makes you better in the bedroom. Even if you spend 10 to 15 minutes a day just breathing in silence, getting rid of all the distractions and putting your outward attention inward on yourself, you will see an impact in the bedroom in very little time. Here's another way of getting mindful. Take a second to breathe, right? We just talked about this, but tuning everything else for a moment and just taking a big deep breath all the way down into your belly. Maybe even sighing it out with some noise. Trust me, a couple times in a row, you will thank me. Your 5 senses are the best way to ground you in this present moment, and that is where presence and mindfulness live. Again, it's not rocket science. People have been doing this. People were way better at this a few thousand years ago than they are today. We're just borrowing from what's still known from them. All right, that brings me to number 4, and I fucking love this one. See your partner as a divine being. Every woman wants to be seen as a sex goddess. End of story. Complete story. Period. At its core, Tantra is a way to merge with the divine. Now, for our purposes, it does not matter where you land in terms of spirituality or religion. Treating your partner as if they are a divine being is separate from your religious beliefs. And it also means that you get to be treated as a divine being. I mean, that sounds pretty amazing, right? And now, tantric expert tip number 5, use the power of sound. If you're thinking that tantric sex is quiet and tame, my friends, think again. Woo! Just because you are going slowly and breathing does not mean that it is a shy or timid experience. The sounds that we make during sex are intuitive. They actually come from different parts of our bodies. Think about it. The sounds that we make vary from like, to like, these are magical animalistic sounds, and being in tune with the sounds that your body wants to make, let alone allowing yourself to make them, is a beautiful part of tantric sex. It's primal, it's raw, it's animalistic, and frankly, it is fucking hot. In Tantra, these different sounds connect to our different chakras, which are energy points, sort of wheels that exist within our body, from our head all the way down to our genitals. And whether or not you are familiar with the chakras or believe that there's any credibility to that system, being present with your body and making the sounds it's desiring, like the sounds that want to come out of it. This isn't something that requires a lot of work. This is something, again, your body does automatically. It's more about just not suppressing it. I mean, think about how much time we spend suppressing our ability to make sound. You're not allowed to burp. You're not allowed to fart. You're not allowed to scream. You shouldn't laugh too loud. You shouldn't interrupt people. Don't get too loud with your voice. Shh, indoor voices. And now, are you ready for the pro tip that I promised you at the beginning of this video? All right, sex is energy. When we feel it in the form of heat, we feel it in the form of agitation, we feel it in the form of excitement, and it makes us feel the desire to release. Like all of that energy building up inside of us makes us want to let it out. Channeling your sexual energy into different creative activities like painting or drawing or building something. I mean, chopping down wood and stacking it. You can use your sexual energy, channeling it into dance or a walk or a workout. All you've got to do is focus on moving that energy up from out of your genitals and into the rest of your body. But imagine if you pulled that energy up from your genitals and brought it up here into your heart, brought it up here into your throat, brought it up here into your mind, and you let it explode out from there. Instead of having a ejaculation out of your penis, you might have an ejaculation of love, of sound, of thought that leaves your body and blows your mind with how amazing you are. I can't get into it too much here because this is YouTube and it's complicated stuff. So if you want more on that, make sure to check out my course, Come When You Want. Or if you are ready to take a deeper dive into this work and you are like, yep, this is for me, the energy thing that you're talking about, the ecstasy thing, I want that, make sure that you apply for coaching. The link is in the description. All right, I have been Caitlin V, and today we have learned all about being present, treating yourself and your lover like the sex gods and goddesses that you are, making noises, breathing. It's been a lot. This time, no crystals needed. Thank you, friends, for tuning in. I will see you here next week.